She won't tell you this, but she feels it. Women have an unshakable radar for weakness long before you even realize you're exposing it. You think you're being nice. She sees uncertainty. You think you're being patient. She senses hesitation. And once she labels you as weak, everything changes. Respect fades. Attraction dies. And worst of all, you don't even know why. But here's the truth. Weakness isn't just about how you act. It's about the energy you carry in this video. I'll break down the silent signals that destroy your presence, make her lose interest and push you into the friend zone before you even stand a chance. Most men never figure this out, but after today, you will. Let's get started. Number 1, seeking. Seeking validation. Ever met a guy who constantly needs reassurance, always asking, "Did I do? Okay, do you still like me? Are you mad at me?" It's exhausting to watch, and for women it's an instant red flag. They might not say it outright, but deep down they feel it. This guy lacks inner strength. Women don't respect men who need permission to feel good about themselves when you're always adjusting to please others instead of standing by your principles. It screams insecurity. It's like walking on eggshells hoping for approval instead of being firm in who you are and the brutal truth. When a woman senses that insecurity, attraction starts to fade. Why? Because deep inside she wants a man who stands strong, not one who wavers at every moment of doubt. Imagine a man who doesn't chase validation. He knows who he is. He doesn't need a woman to tell him he's good enough. He's already decided that for himself. That's the kind of man who commands respect without demanding it. Stoicism teaches that confidence comes from within, not from external validation. The Stoics believed in mastering emotions, standing firm in principles, and not letting the opinions of others shake their sense of self. Marcus Aurelius didn't wake up every morning wondering if people still liked him. He focused on being the best version of himself, regardless of what others thought. You have to be the same. Stop looking for constant reassurance. Trust your own judgment. Make decisions based on your values, not on how she might react. If she sees that you're unshaken by her moods, that you don't crumble when she pulls away, that you can stand firm without needing her constant approval, she'll respect you more, and respect fuels attraction. Weakness isn't about being physically small or soft-spoken. It's about seeking permission to exist. As you are, strength isn't about dominance or arrogance. It's about knowing your worth and not outsourcing it to someone else. When you learn to validate yourself, when you stop seeking approval. Like a lost child, you become the kind of man a woman not only desires, but respects. Number 2, emotional instability. If you're quick to snap, argue, or get emotional over small things, women see you as a man without control. They may not always say it outright, but they feel it. And once they sense your lack of emotional stability, their respect for you starts to fade. When emotions rule your actions, whether it's anger, jealousy, or desperation, you reveal a lack of inner strength. You become unpredictable, driven by fleeting feelings instead of a steady mind. And if you can't even manage your own emotions, how can you handle life's bigger challenges? How can she trust you to remain steady when things get tough? Stoicism teaches emotional discipline. As Epicurus wisely said, any person capable of angering you becomes your master. Let that sink in. If someone else can control your emotions, they control you. A strong man doesn't let external things dictate his internal state. He remains grounded no matter what happens around him. A woman will test you, sometimes consciously, sometimes unconsciously. She'll push your buttons, challenge your patience, even provoke a reaction. Not because she enjoys making you angry, but because she wants to see if you're truly in control of yourself or just putting on a front. If you crumble under pressure, if you let frustration or insecurity take over, she'll sense weakness, But if you remain calm, collected and unfazed, she'll see real strength. The weak man takes the bait. He lashes out, argues, or becomes defensive. The strong man, he remains composed. He understands that his power lies in how he responds, not in how loudly he reacts. Instead of exploding in frustration when she tests, you pause, breathe, think, then respond with calm authority. That's how true self-control is shown. And when a woman sees that you don't crumble under pressure, that you don't let emotions control you, her respect and attraction for you will grow. Real strength isn't about proving yourself in the moment, it's about mastering yourself in every moment. Now, take a moment to reflect. How do you usually respond when emotions flare up? Do you let frustration dictate your actions, or do you remain steady, composed, and in control the way you handle? Pressure says everything about your inner strength. Share your thoughts in the comments below, or if this message resonates with you, just leave. Strength is in control. Let's see how many of you are committed to mastering yourselves. Number 3, no purpose. No purpose, no direction. Direction. Women don't respect a man. Without a mission, attraction isn't just about looks. It's about how you move through life. If you have no direction, no ambition, no purpose, she won't see you as someone worth investing in. And it's not just women, people in general gravitate toward those who exude purpose and certainty. Think about it. Have you ever seen a man who carries himself with absolute confidence? Not because he's faking it, but because he knows exactly what he stands for. He doesn't need approval. He doesn't chase. He simply moves forward, and in doing so, he naturally draws people toward him. Now compare that to the guy who constantly seeks validation, who changes his opinions to fit in, who waits for the world to hand him opportunities. Which one do you think commands more respect? Stoicism teaches us that a man's strength isn't found in how he reacts to others, but in how he directs himself. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, ruled an empire, not by being desperate for approval, but by living according to principles he knew were worth following. He didn't waver. He didn't beg for respect. He earned it by being steadfast in his duty. That's the kind of energy that makes a man attractive, not just to women, but in life. So what's your mission? It's not enough to simply say, I want to be successful. What are you building? What are you dedicated to? Women respect men who have a direction, men who wake up with a purpose, beyond seeking someone's attention. If your only goal is to get her to like you, she won't find your mission. Commit to something greater than D. Whether it's your career, personal growth, or self-discipline, strength comes from knowing where you're going. If you don't have that yet, start working on it today. Because the moment you stop waiting for life to happen and start making things happen, everything always playing it safe. Changes. Number 4, always playing it safe. You might think you're being agreeable, that by saying yes to everything and avoiding conflict, you're making things smoother, preventing unnecessary drama. But here's the hard truth. Women see this as fear, not kindness. If you're constantly agreeing just to avoid arguments, letting people walk all over you, or hesitating to say no when it's necessary, you aren't being noble. You're showing weakness, and women pick up on this faster than you think. Stoicism teaches us that real courage isn't about being aggressive or dominating others. It's about standing firm in what matters, no matter how uncomfortable it might be. Avoiding conflict isn't a sign of emotional maturity. It's often a sign of fear, a fear of losing approval, a fear of being disliked, a fear of facing the discomfort that comes with disagreement. But here's the paradox. By trying to avoid conflict, you actually lose respect. And when a woman stops respecting you, attraction fades quickly. Think about it. Have you ever seen a woman frustrated with a man who won't take a stance? Maybe she asks, "What do you want to do?" and he responds with whatever you want. She might sigh, roll her eyes, and eventually take the lead herself. At first, she might tolerate it, but over time, that lack of decisiveness becomes unattractive. She wants a man who can make decisions, who can stand firm without being reckless, and who isn't afraid to say no when needed. Women test men not because they enjoy conflict, but because they instinctively want to know if you can handle life's pressures, if you cave under the smallest amount of tension, if you apologize when you've done nothing wrong, if you let others dictate your values, if you avoid standing up for yourself. She sees that, and the moment she realizes you lack backbone, her attraction for you starts to dissolve. Stand your ground, not with anger, not with arrogance, but with unshakable calm. Set boundaries, speak up when something doesn't sit right with you, disagree when necessary, and don't be afraid of her reaction. A man who values his principles more than the temporary comfort of avoiding conflict earns respect, not just from women, but from everyone around him. Strength isn't about overpowering others. It's about having the inner stability to hold your ground when it counts. If you don't respect yourself enough to do that, don't expect anyone else to either think about this for a second. Have you ever found yourself agreeing just to keep the peace only to realize later that it cost you respect? Avoiding conflict might feel like the easier path, but in the long run, it weakens your presence, your confidence, and even your relationships. Women don't want a man who bends to every whim. They want a man who stands firm with quiet strength. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever felt the consequences of playing it too safe? Or if this message hit home, just type "respect is earned," not given in the comments. Let's keep the conversation going. Number 5. Overinvestment 2. Overinvestment, too soon. You meet a girl and suddenly everything changes within a week. You're texting her, constantly responding to her messages within seconds, sending gifts, planning extravagant dates, and making her the focal point of your world. You tell yourself that you're showing her how much you care, that you're proving your devotion. But in reality, she sees something very different. She sees weakness. Women have an intuitive ability to sense when a man places them on a pedestal, valuing them more than he values himself. And here's the hard truth. This doesn't make them feel special. It makes them uncomfortable. Why? Because deep down, attraction isn't built on constant availability or relentless pursuit. It's built on respect, mystery, and self-assurance. When you smother her with attention, thinking it will win her over, you don't come across as romantic. You come across as desperate. A woman doesn't want to be the instant center of your world. She wants to be drawn into your world, to feel like she's discovering something intriguing about you, not like she's suddenly responsible for your happiness. When you reveal too much, too soon, when you make her your primary source of joy, before she's even earned that role, you remove the element of curiosity, the very thing that fuels attraction. She doesn't feel excitement. She feels pressure, and pressure leads to disinterest. Predictability isn't attractive. This is where Stoicism gives you an advantage. The Stoic man understands that love is not about clinging. It's about connection with, without losing yourself. He is not controlled by external factors, nor does he let his emotional state hinge on whether someone approves of him or reciprocates his feelings. He does not chase validation because he already knows his worth. This quiet confidence is magnetic. It commands respect without demanding attention. If you want her to see you as strong, you must first be strong in yourself. Stop over-investigation. Let things develop naturally at their own pace. A man who values himself doesn't need to prove his worth through over-the-top gestures or excessive pursuit. He knows his time and energy are valuable, and he offers them selectively. Ironically, it's when you stop trying so hard to win her over that she actually starts seeing your true value, your silence, your patience, your ability to walk away if necessary. These are the things that create attraction, not constant reassurance. You don't need to chase. You need to stand firm, because the man who stands firm in himself is the man she won't be able to ignore. Number 6. Oversharing your struggles. Without control, struggles without control. Look, everyone faces struggles. Life is unpredictable, and challenges will always come. But if your first instinct is to unload all your worries, frustrations and disappointments onto a woman, hoping she'll fix them or comfort you, every time you're not being vulnerable, you're being emotionally dependent, and that's a huge turn-off. Think about it. Women are naturally wired to seek security in a partner. They want to feel emotionally safe with you. Not like they have to carry your emotional burdens on top of their own. If every conversation with you feels like a therapy session, where you vent, complain, or seek validation, she won't see you as a strong, grounded man. She'll see you as someone who lacks emotional control. This is where Stoicism comes in. A Stoic man understands that struggles are inevitable, but he doesn't let them define him. He doesn't crumble under pressure or demand emotional reassurance from others constantly. Instead, he faces hardships with composure, processes his emotions internally, and when he does speak about his struggles, he does so from a place of strength, not self-pity. Imagine two men facing the same financial setback. One man panics, complains, and spirals into self-doubt, calling his girlfriend every night to unload his stress on her. The other acknowledges the challenge, focuses on finding solutions, and when he talks about it, he says, "It's tough right now, but I'm working on a plan to get through it." Who do you think she'll respect more? This isn't about pretending to be emotionless. It's about knowing when and how to express emotions in a way that doesn't drain others. When you share your struggles, do it with a mindset of resilience and self-responsibility. A woman will admire a man who can weather the storm, not one who falls apart at the first sign of rain. Your ability to remain calm under pressure, to navigate life's difficulties without constantly seeking external validation, signals strength, and in her eyes, strength is attractive weakness. On the other hand, isn't about having problems, it's about letting those problems control you. If you've made it this far, it means you're serious about leveling up, not just in your relationships, but in your mindset. So what stood out to you the most? Do you recognize areas where you can improve? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Or if you're just here absorbing the lesson, type composure is power to let me know you're watching. Let's hear your perspective. Number 7, complaining. Complaining about circumstances. About circumstances. A man who blames others, complains about life, or plays the victim inevitably comes off as weak. And here's the thing. Most men don't even realize they're doing it. They assume that venting about their struggles makes them more relatable, that by sharing their frustrations, they'll earn sympathy and understanding. But in reality, it's doing the exact opposite. Women don't see complaints as a sign of depth or vulnerability. They see them as a lack of strength, and when a man fixates on what's unfair or outside of his control, he's not just losing their respect, he's losing control over his own life. Think about it. When you're around someone who's always talking about how life has wronged them, what's your reaction? Do you admire them? Do you feel inspired by them? Probably not. Instead, you might feel drained, as if their energy is pulling you down with them. Now flip that scenario. Imagine being in the presence of someone who, despite facing setbacks, refuses to let those challenges define him, a man who acknowledges reality yet never allows it to break his spirit. That's the kind of energy people, especially women, gravitate toward. Women respect men who take ownership of their circumstances, who ask themselves, "This is my situation. What am I going to do about it?" That's the mindset of a man who refuses to let external forces dictate his path. It's the mentality of a leader, someone who stands firm when others crumble, and whether consciously or not, women are drawn to that strength. Because deep down they know that life is unpredictable, they know that adversity is inevitable, so naturally they seek a man who can weather the storm, a man who doesn't fold when things get tough, but instead rises to the occasion. Now consider the alternative. The man who wallows in self-pity, who lets every little inconvenience send him into a spiral of frustration and despair. That man is not a safe harbor. He's a liability. A woman wants to know that if life throws a curveball, the man beside her won't panic, break down, or start pointing fingers. She wants someone who remains steady, who meets challenges with calm resolve. That kind of man doesn't have to say he's strong, his actions prove it. Stoicism teaches us a fundamental truth. While we can't control everything that happens to us, we can control how we respond, and that response reveals everything about who we really are. A man who constantly whines about his bad luck isn't just signal that he's struggling, he's broadcasting that he's powerless, that life is pushing him around and he has no means to push back. But a man who remains calm, who refuses to complain and instead takes meaningful action, proves that he's the master of his own fate. Complaining solves nothing. Action does look life is unfair. So what will you sit around and wallow in self-pity? Or will you use that unfairness as fuel tool to get stronger? Everyone faces obstacles, some greater than others, but the way you handle them determines everything. Women aren't drawn to a man who crumbles under pressure. They're drawn to the one who stands firm, who adapts, who takes life's punches and keeps moving forward. Because strength isn't about never falling. It's about never staying down the moment you stop making excuses and start taking full responsibility. That's when everything changes, not just in how women see you, but in how you see yourself. Because at the end of the day, confidence, resilience, and discipline are magnetic. They set you apart. They make you a man worth respecting, a man worth following. And when you become that man, you won't have to chase attention or validation. It will come to you naturally, because true strength isn't about having a perfect life. It's about showing up, owning your reality, and proving every single day that no matter what happens, you will not break. Number 8. Letting attraction rule. You rule you if a man loses. Focus every time he finds a woman attractive. He's weak. Let's be real. Women notice this instantly. They can sense when a man is desperate for their approval, when he bends over backward to impress them, and when he's willing to compromise his own identity just to be liked. And the truth, that kind of behavior doesn't spark attraction. It kills it. A woman's respect isn't won through constant validation seeking. It's not about how much you agree with her, how eager you are to please, or how quickly you fold at the first sign of disapproval. The moment you start shaping yourself to fit her expectations, nodding along to everything she says, or lowering your own standards to gain her favor, you're sending a clear message: you lack inner strength. You're showing her without a single word that your sense of self is fragile, and no woman, at least not one who truly values herself, wants a man who doesn't even respect himself. Women are naturally drawn to men who are grounded, men who don't let emotions, desires, or external pressures dictate their actions. This is where Stoicism becomes a game changer. The ancient Stoics understood that true power isn't about control over others. It's about control over yourself. Just because you desire something, whether it's a woman's attention, validation, or even intimacy, doesn't mean you should be ruled by it. Think of Marcus Aurelius, the Emperor of Rome, a man who had access to limitless power, wealth, and pleasure. Yet despite all that, he remained grounded. He never let power corrupt his principles. He stood firm in his beliefs, practiced self-discipline, and never allowed himself to be consumed by fleeting desires. That's what real strength looks like. It's not about never feeling temptation, it's about mastering it. A man with self-control is a man who commands respect. When you can stay composed in the presence of beauty, when you don't let attraction derail your focus, and when you hold firm to your own values, people, women included, take notice. Women test men, not because they want to break them, but because they want to know if they can trust them. They want to see if you're solid, if you can handle pressure, if you can stand firm in the face of chaos. Most men fail this test. They crumble, they chase, they overcompensate. They think being overly accommodating or constantly seeking approval makes them more desirable, but in reality, it does the opposite. A man who respects himself doesn't need to prove his worth. His presence, his discipline, and his unwavering sense of self say it all. So the next time you feel the urge to impress, to chase, or to mold yourself into what you think a woman wants, stop, ask yourself, are you leading your own life, or are you being led by impulse? Because the moment you stop seeking approval and start living with conviction, that's the moment she truly starts seeing you as a man worth respecting. Number 9, hesitating. Hesitating instead of leading. Instead of leading, nothing kills attraction faster than a man who can't make a decision. Where do you want to eat? I don't know. Where do you want to eat? Should I text her or wait? Overthinks for 3 hours, then does nothing. Should I go after that opportunity? Waits until it's too late. Indecision isn't just frustrating, it's a signal of weakness. Women don't want to feel like they're leading you through life. They don't want to be the ones making every decision, setting the pace, or dragging you forward. While you hesitate, they want a man who can stand firm, not one who constantly looks to them for guidance. It's not about being controlling. It's about embodying certainty, confidence, strength. Because a man who lacks conviction in his choices is deep down uncertain of himself, and that uncertainty is deeply unattractive. Imagine woman standing in front of 2 men. One looks at her with shitty, makes eye contact, and says, "Let's go here, you'll love it." The other hesitates, avoids eye contact, stumbles over his words and mumbles, what do you want to do? Who do you think she's drawn to? Who exudes the energy of someone who knows himself? Stoicism teaches that action builds confidence, not endless overthinking. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Overthinking creates fears that don't even exist, paralyzing you in your own mind. The more you hesitate, the more you reinforce that fear, and the cycle continues. Every time you stall, you teach yourself that you're incapable, and if you don't trust yourself, why should she stop waiting for the perfect answer? Stop hoping she'll decide for you. Make a choice and own it, whether it's ask her out, making plans, or chasing an opportunity. Step up and take the lead. You don't need every detail figured out. You just need to trust that whatever happens, you can handle it. That's the kind of energy women are drawn to. That's strength. At the end of conclusion the day, strength isn't about dominance, aggression, or chasing approval. It's about self-mastery. It's about knowing who you are, standing firm in your values, and refusing to let emotion, validation, or hesitation control you. Women may not always say it out loud, but they feel it when a man lacks purpose, when he seeks approval, when music over investment and weakness erodes both respect and attraction. Faster than you think. The Stoics understood this thousands of years ago. Marcus Aurelius, Epicus, Seneca. They all taught that real power comes from within, from controlling your emotions, staying grounded in adversity, and never outsourcing your self-worth to someone else. That's the kind of mindset that commands respect, not just from women, but from life itself. So ask yourself, are you in control, or are you being controlled? The moment you stop chasing, stop hesitating, and start owning your presence, everything changes. Women notice, people notice. And most importantly, you notice if this video gave you something to think about. Hit that like button, it helps the channel grow and keeps this message spreading. Drop a comment below and let me know which of these mistakes do you think is the most common and which one have you personally struggled with the most. I read every comment and would love to hear your thoughts. And before you go, don't stop here. There are more insights waiting for you. Check out the recommended videos on the screen now for even deeper breakdowns on mastering attraction, self-respect, and the Stoic mindset. Keep leveling up, keep standing firm, and I'll see you in the next one.